guys, this is Chesser. This is going to be a new style of commentary I'm going to try. Instead of shooting up my videos with a ton of typing and like paragraph-laden frames or scenes, I'm just going to give kind of a verbal commentary over the footage that I've taken. So this fight here is the first actual fight I've had in a confessor. We have two confessors, a kiting retribution, and a worm in our fleet. We happen upon these three Ishtars right outside of BUZ, which is the holding system for some of Brave Collective's pilots. We are kind of a bit tentative here engaging these Ishtars because we're not sure if they're alone or if they have another fleet. So we're, kind of debating if we should go in or not, or how close we should go in. We're also concerned because being in small ships, these Ishtars have a potential to hurt us pretty badly, but the pilots are really, really out of sorts and very disorganized and haphazard, so, we decide to kind of go in here once we notice that the other two Ishtars are burning away. I myself switched to a more high damage ammo. My confessor is 1MN and MWD, and with like heated gleam, I'm doing 500 DPS, so like right now, with X-ray, I'm probably like at 400 or so, something around there. So I get in close here against this Ishtar. I try and stay at least 12 away from the new threat, and once he's down, melted down pretty quickly by our gang, we had someone else going and pointing the second Ishtar, so I burn over to him immediately and start applying damage. Now at first here, I'm a bit tentative to really go in hard and apply more damage, just because the other Ishtar is close to him, and I don't want them to really be overlapping each other with either newts or webs, but just because my confessor in particular is very vulnerable to newts. So a little bit of failed piloting here. I probably orbit a little bit too far out right there, drop my point for a second. And now I was thinking that we would have both of these two Ishtar together and be able to take all three. However, the last Ishtar is actually starting to burn away from this guy now that he's at 50% shield already, and because of that, I switched to X-ray to get in close on this last Ishtar to drop him quickly. At this point, there are calls being made to get point on that last Ishtar, and since I'm really the only one that's able to do it apparently, I try and put myself in between the escaping Ishtar and the one that we're currently fighting, so that I can keep damage on the weakened one and try and point the other one. However, sadly for me, the third Ishtar is just continuing to burn away, and so I lose point fairly quickly on him. Things change pretty rapidly all of a sudden when a pretty large gang jumps through the gate, and we're not sure if they're going to warp down on us because of one of their Ishtar wrecks or if they're part of this gang. So we all just pull back and make sure that we secure the second Ishtar before moving on to the third and splitting me to go off after it, because I'm probably the most DPS in the fleet. So now that the second Ishtar is dead, the third Ishtar warps out pretty quickly, and we're stuck with a pretty large BNI fleet on the gate. They have some Logi, which is concerning. They have two, so we have to kind of go for outplays here because they can just completely wrap all of the DPS that we can bring. They're kind of warping pell-mell down to one of the Ishtar wrecks. Onyx really isn't that much of a threat, and I'm not concerned about it. However, the Dragoon is something that we could kill. It's a little smaller, and it could be good. But in short order here, they've dropped in some RLML ships, and that's kind of worrisome, especially the Cerberus, which can project really, really far with RLMLs. Our ship types aren't very tanky, so two Cerberus and a Caracal all shooting at you can do a significant amount of damage. So you just need to be able to respect that. So they have about like a 70-ish K range. So at this point, I'm just kind of chilling out here and just surveying the fleet blob that has dropped on top of us, and we're just trying to see if we can call out any targets, see any ships that are isolated, go for picks, because at a situation like this, you really want to try and fight against these home defense fleets. They're generally poorly organized, the pilots in them are not experienced, so look for that isolated target. I was looking up towards the gate on my overview, and I noticed that there's an Elgos just kind of chilling, so I warped to him at range, and he's not even aligning yet, he's not even moving, so this is going to be a pretty easy kill. I just apply damage as much as I can, everyone else comes up to join me, and he's going to drop fairly quickly. And this is kind of the type of kills, the type of playstyle that you want to try to get when there's a really, really hard, really, really large gang on the grid with you that you technically can't fight head-on. I mean, with two sites and the amount of anti-tackle ships that they have, it would just be suicide for us to try to fight that. So here again, the blob again is landing pell-mell intermittently back to where we were. I just burn off to the side again because I don't don't want to be anywhere near the Cerberuses really. So I'm looking around the grid again, and there's a few ships left at the old Ishtar Rex, the place where they had first warped down to. So I'm going to warp down there and see if we can catch something to continue the fight. I don't want their entire fleet on the gate, if at all possible, just because then they might just jump back through and our fight would be over. So I'm trying to continue the fight. So this Vexar Navy issue here is aligned, but I'm not sure if he's aligned to a Celestial or not. I start burning at him as fast as I can, and he should have warped by now, but I don't know why he didn't. I guess he doesn't have that much to fear because he's got his entire gang right there. But either way, I get a point on him, and we start putting on some damage. He's a shield VNI, so we're just gonna see if we can break him. I fail pilot a little bit, coming in a little bit too close. I get like 12 to 13 kilometers, which isn't ideal, but at the speed that I was going, even if he would scram web me, I would most likely just like coast out of his range. So again, I'm burning up in parallel to where they're all landing, just because I want to be free of their gang, and I don't want to, just fly into them or anything like that. So with, again, their gang landing, Cerberus, everything like that, they're going to force us off. But you can see a few ships landing probably 30 to 40 kilometers outside of the main blob, and that's kind of the room that we're looking to play at here. A Griffin, I believe, is going to get caught out fairly shortly here. There he is right there, straight ahead, and I'm trying to burn back in to get more DPS on him, but my gang and fleet mates dispatched him pretty quickly. He, I think, warped to the wrong wreck, and landed way too close to us, and we got him like that. And as you can see here, broadcasts are being made of other wrecks that we would consider warping to maybe try and grab that vengeance up there. I just start burning towards it right away, just to see if I can maybe get it to come down at me to engage me. And they're not having any of that, and decide, or at least half of the fleet decides to warp back to their gate. At this point, it's a mad rush to burn into their gang, try and get a point at anything, try and continue the fight. Again, I get lucky, and I grab a scythe before it gets to warp off. So this is, again, good for us because we're forcing them to continue the fight. Either the fleet can leave, and we kill the scythe, or they can come back to save the scythe. The scythe is pretty well tanked here. And I don't want to get like super close into it. I'm just using a heated linked web to keep him off me. It's kind of curious that he's like trying to burn at me. I'm not sure if he has a scram web or if he's a battle scythe. I'm not sure what's going on, but if I get scram webbed in a situation like this, I'm gonna die. Just because with the amount of logi they have and the DPS that blob has, there's no way my confessor would live. So again, we're creating a situation where their fleet is kind of warping one by one, very unorganized, not with a clear plan, from the gate back down to the original Ishtar Rex that we had created. Off to the side of me, the other confessor is in the middle of a bubble from the Onyx, but he's pulling out to safety. So we have our gang split up, we have their blob split up in like two smaller gangs now, fighting just 4 people. So this is actually going really well. We're keeping them really spread out. No one's died yet. We're tanking or being able to dip in and out of the long-range missile fire that they're able to bring against us. So here again, everyone's kind of forming up, at least on our end, to try to come back over towards my side, because this little part of the gang is a little bit smaller than the original Onyx side that dropped in on the other Confessor. I was shooting here at a Confessor, the Dragoon, just seeing if I could do some damage to it, but again, they have a lot of reps. There's really no way that my single Confessor is going to be able to break that. So here again, we're just trying to keep the fight going, shoot at some targets, trying to make them make a mistake. Maybe the Dragoon gets too far, like in this situation especially, the Dragoon is what we would call very, very isolated. He's very, very far away from his gang, so we start burning right back in at him, trying to kill him. Again, we just don't have the range of the DPS to really bring him down under the amount of sights that they have to rep him up. Trying to force plays like that is helpful because it can cause a weaker pilot to make a mistake the longer you keep them on the grid. Here is just a slasher completely trying to just tunnel vision on me and get a scram web. He gets out of logi rep range and falls pretty quickly to our anti-frigate fleet. But as I was saying before, that slasher kind of made a tackle run against me. What we're trying to do right now is just continue the fight, continue making them pilot, because a weaker pilot in these types of situations is more bound to make a mistake, and that's what we're trying to force here. We're trying to force mistakes. We're trying to force kills. So like that Algos a little while earlier, the Griffin, and now the Slasher. So we're slowly getting kills and we're not losing anything, so for us it's looking good. So here is Condor, kind of close. I switched to sniper mode fairly quickly to try to bring him down. I am not catching him, so I switch back to speed and start closing on him as fast as I can. I get some standard shots on him, but my transversal is a little bit too high, and I start correcting it. If you want to learn how to pilot to reduce transversal, what I'm doing right now is called deflection piloting, and that's flying my ship to kind of look at where he's going on the grid and trying to stop him. He's pulling away from me pretty quickly here. Again, I probably could have switched to sniper mode and killed him, but I didn't. I just decided to go with Aurora. Probably not the best chance, but like I said, this is really my first time flying the Confessor, and I have a lot to learn on how to optimally fly the ship. So, during that whole time, my entire fleet members have just been trying, at least on all angles, to try to get a ship, again, to make a mistake like that Condor. I switched to sniper mode here again, just with Aurora. I'm outside, or at least the Cerberus isn't shooting me, so I'm just testing their tank, seeing maybe if we bomb rush a Cerberus, if we could possibly kill it. But, no such luck really. While I'm doing this, I'm looking at the entire grid, my overview, and I'm looking to see if we can find a ship that is isolated. You can see here in the corner some of my fleet members have already done a better job than I have at that, and they've caught another small frigate. And I think he goes down pretty quick here. This is just a stiletto. I don't even think I have a chance to lock in. Yeah, and done. So, again, right there, no excuse, an interceptor gets warped on top of and then pointed before it can warp away. But that's just going back to my point of when you're flying, a more mobile, faster ship, if you can stay on the grid and find these small kills, that's good. So here I target a Malediction that doesn't warp out right away. I get a heated long point on it, but he's burning away at a really, really high rate of speed. So I have to stay in speed mode to keep up with him. He's a little bit out of my standard range, so I'm going to need to switch to Aurora eventually. As you can see here, I'm never clicking approach. I'm looking at where he's aligning to, and I'm just flying my ship over in that general direction. He's a lot faster than me, so here I'm switching to Aurora to try to kill him on the last bit, but he's armor tanked and repping with his AAR. And I switched to sniper mode just to see maybe if I can kill him before he leaves out of my range. The Confessor that I'm using has a 72k range with 300 DPS at 72, so I was hoping maybe if I could blap him, but he gets out in time. Again, the Scythe and Cerberus are landing right on top of me, really, really close to me. When a ship does that, it's not really that much of a worry. They're very, very slow compared to me, and by the time they decelerate out of warp, I can be 50 to 60 kilometers away, and not really care about their RLML damage. This slicer here is a prime example of just looking for a mistake. There's no way a slicer should be trying to fight a Confessor. Certainly a Confessor like mine. So, again, I'm just piloting away, and he clicks approach on me. Transversal turns to 0, and I just two-shot him. So, that's, again, going back to just looking for the mistakes, looking for people to basically throw kills to you. Again, we're just looking at the grid. We're continuing to look for people that are out of position, out of place. I know I keep saying that, but in fights like this, that's really the optimal thing. And I think that's what a lot of pilots don't understand is your small group of ships, in our case 4, can fight this huge cruiser gang. We can get kills, we can keep them busy, we can keep them occupied, and there's a lot of fun to be had here. So here again, we have some people kind of trickling in from the main staging system, and we're going in for more kills here. The main cruiser fleet is still bubbled, or was bubbled by their own Onyx, so they couldn't even warp up to help. This Atron here again, I'm using deflection piloting to get some kills, reduce my transversal, and just melt them pretty quickly. Now, we're repeating this process where the cruiser fleet is slowly moving back to the gate, warping it one by one. We're looking back down to where they were, looking to see if there's a ship or two that we can catch again. And keep in mind, this is only my point of view. In this case, other ships were getting kills that I may not be on just because of the type of fight that this was. We were really spread out and only working together on ships that would live long enough to get our combined damage. So right there for a second, you can see how quickly I started dropping when the cruiser fleet RLML shifts got within range. Um, my tank was never really stressed here, but that just kind of shows you why we can't be fighting them truly. At least staying within 60 to 70 kilometers. Here's me just playing a little bit of game of drones. Just gleam and a web and just burning away in a straight line is going to help reduce my transversal as much as possible against warriors, and I actually can like one or two shot them. So it's really, really nice. People make the complaint that beams have bad tracking, but if you fly around the tracking and learn how to properly pilot your ship by watching theirs, and just by doing some tricks, I think beams are a really great weapon system on the Confessor. So the Tristan that was attacking me earlier with those warriors is, again, really, really far out of place. And we're going to go back in and see if we can get a kill here. I'm not sure if I get anything, but again, just burning right back in. They're really, really isolated from their gang. No worries. We're just trying to pick up another easy kill here, but the Tristan has seen the danger and is just starting to burn away as fast as possible. At this point, my mods are all pretty burned, and I use it to quick rep up with nanite. Nanite repair pace is the most amazing thing. Reload my AAR, and just to stay in the grid, see what else they're going to do, and kind of repair some of my modules. It's never good to have a ton of heat just sitting around, because in case something happens, you want to be able to use that heat. Little did I know, though, while I'm just kind of sitting here, I was checking my cell phone, whatever, they had combat probes. And I started perhaps a little bit late, but 3 frigates dropped basically within 5 kilometers of my Confessor, and when they have that much Logi and DPS on the field, you really want to be careful. So I didn't even get a chance to really repair my mods all that much. I completely failed pilot here. I should have been dead to rights right now. That Raptor should have had a scram on me. He wouldn't have killed me, but his gang should have warped on top of me, and that should have been a really hairy situation. I just made a huge mistake. Luckily for me, though, the Raptor didn't have the presence of mind to scram me, so he died fairly quickly. The last guy who had warped down on me was now chasing one of our worms in this Jag. And again, here I make another small mistake. It's pretty late at night, but I make another big mistake, and I get within 13 of the Jag. Actually, even closer. Oh wow, I get within 10k, so that's completely inexcusable. I should never be that close. Granted, I was going really fast, so even if he would scram up me, I'm pretty sure I would be able to coast out of range, but I should never be that close. Here's a great trick that I use. I actually turn my MWD off once I have him webbed, and I'm just slow boating away. My Confessor's slow boat speed is 800, so by doing that and keeping him with the web at 14 to 15 kilometers, granted I have links, I'm able to basically have perfect wrecking shots on him because my transversals are really, really low, and he's slowed down with his NWD Sig Bloom. So that's why you can shoot a Jag really, really quickly, even with EM damage. The worm also was a great help, for sure. So here again, I'm going back to trying to repair some of my mods, and get myself